Hello guys, this is Harish Nagar and today I'm going to talk about Shashi Deshpande. Guys, Shashi Deshpande was born in 1938 and she is still alive. She is from Karnataka and she says that I don't want to call myself a feminist writer. I say I am a feminist, but I don't write to propagate an ism. This is a quotation by Shashi Deshpande. Now, in this quotation, ism means feminism. Now, in this particular lecture, guys, I shall be talking about 6 works of Shashi Deshpande, and all of them are about Indian women and the problem they face in their married life. Guys, the first work was The Dark Holds No Terrors. This was published in 1980. It is about a successful lady doctor whose name is Sarita, and she lives with her husband Manohar, who is an English teacher. Now she narrates the conflict she has to face as a wife and also as a doctor. Her husband is extremely brutal towards Sarita, and her husband inflicts so much brutality on her every night that she decided that she is going to leave her husband and return to her father's house. So when she returned to her widowed father, she remembered her mother's bitter word when Sarita was unable to save her younger brother from drowning. Her mother said that you should have died and you killed my son, and all those brutal words and bitter words she remembered when she returned to her widowed father. And she reminded of the fact that her mother said that a girl's purpose in life is to make men happy. She was advised by her mother to keep up her look good so that she can attract a man, and Sarita was disinherited by her parents when she ran away with Manohar, who belongs to a lower class family. And Manohar later turns into a vicious husband when he found that his career is crashing while his wife has overtaken him professionally. So if you look at this particular thing, the main problem in the relationship happened when we find that Manohar was unable to see his wife getting more success than himself. So if you seen that Abhiman movie which had Jaya Baduri and Amitabh Bachchan, you can relate to the situation of Sarita. In that movie also we had Amitabh Bachchan, who is a great singer, and he fell in love with Jaya Baduri, and he promoted Jaya Baduri and he told Jaya Baduri to sing as well. And then Jaya Baduri started singing. Suddenly people started uploading Jaya Baduri more than Amitabh, and this particular inferiority that Amitabh Bachchan felt made them fight with each other, and finally their relationship ended. Now guys, the next work by Shashi Deshpande is Roots and Shadows. This was published in the year 1983. It tells the story of traditional joint family and talk about the conflict that a joint family faces. For example, like conflict between traditional and modernity. The important women character in this work are Mini, Indu and Aka, and the story is narrated by Indu's point of view. So remember this thing guys, Roots and Shadow is a traditional story talking about a joint family and narrating how people face conflict between tradition and modernity. Now we come on to the work for which Shashi Deshpande received Sahitya Academy Award, and the work is That Long Silence. This was published in the year 1989. The title, That Long Silence, implies that women are not allowed to raise their voice against suppression. So their husband keep on suppressing them, but then the women don't raise their voice against suppression, and that is why the title says That Long Silence. That means I kept myself silent for years and years. The center character is Jaya. Now Jaya means victory, and Jaya was the name given to her by her father when she was born, because her father wanted her to be extremely powerful and independent. But then she was married to Mohan, and Mohan changed her name from Jaya to Suhasini. Now Suhasini means soft, smiling and a motherly woman. Now both the names show different traits of her personality. The former, that is Jaya, symbolizes victory, whereas the later, that is Suhasini, symbolizes submission. We find that she did not protest the change of her name from Jaya to Suhasini when she was married to Mohan because she wanted to keep Mohan happy. She started dressing up in the way of Mohan like, and her appearance was a proof of a submission to Mohan's liking, replicating and absorbed family women. Then if you look at the character of Jaya, you see that Jaya is basically a modern woman who is rooted in tradition. She is a modern woman, but then she is rooted in tradition. Whereas her husband, Mohan, is a traditionalist rooted in customs. So Mohan is a extremely traditional and extremely orthodox, and both of them have really different outlook towards marriage. They fail to understand each other, and that is how their marriage splits. According to Mohan, woman sitting before fire waiting for her husband to come home and eat hot food is the real strength of a woman. But Jaya interprets it nothing more than despair. According to Jaya, a woman who just sits by the fire and waits for her husband is the sign of weakness, and the difference in their attitude is the main cause of the failure of their marriage. This loveless in the marriage draws Jaya towards a middle-aged lonely man whose name is Kamath. Now guys, Kamath is the man who is living in the same apartment in which Jaya and Mohan lives, and Jaya is drawn towards this middle-aged lonely intellectual man who is actually not rich, but then he is very calm, he is friendly, and he is companionable. Now her association with Kamath lends another dimension to Jaya's personality because she started writing after her marriage. So she was told by Mohan that you can only write about kitchen, food, how to be a good woman, and all such articles were published in magazines. But then suddenly Jaya realized that let me write about the pains of a marriage, and she could not write it at her house because then she received the mails at her own address, and maybe Mohan will come to know about the kind of writing that she is writing. So she started receiving emails at Kamath's address to avoid confrontation from Mohan, who disapproves of her writing. And gradually, when she starts spending time with Kamath, she finds that she is drawn towards him because Kamath treats her as his equal, and he also offers her constructive criticism on her writing. So basically, Kamath and Jaya, both of them love each other. But still, we find that because Jaya is a traditional Indian woman, she is unable to divorce Mohan and start living with Kamath. Kamath is a widower who is living above her flat. Now, we also find another important thing about Kamath is that he does not feel awkward when he cooks himself because he has no reservation like doing things that are considered as woman's responsibility. He does not have all such reservations, and Kamath is also very emotional, and he is also aware of the emotional and physical needs of Jaya, and therefore he asks Jaya to break his silence and speaks freely. Finally, we find one day Kamath dies of heart attack, and though she witnesses it, she does nothing and leave him alone to die. In spite of his support and encouragement, Jaya leaves him dying because of social fear, and that is how the novel ends, that long silence. And now in June 2014 UGC NET exam, there was a question that who is the protagonist of Shashi Deshpande, That Long Silence, and the name of the protagonist is Jaya. Now guys, the next work of Shashi Deshpande is A Matter of Time, published in the year 1996. The story revolves around the three generations of women coming to terms with their life. We have Sumi and her husband Gopal, we have daughter Aru, Charu and Seema. So these are the three generations of women who are trying to understand their life in a better manner. Now the next work is Small Remedies, published in the year 2000. It is about a writer whose name is Madhu. She has lost her son due to the incident of the Ayodhya Babri Masjid bombing. Now, to recover from this incident, Madhu travels to a town to write about Savitri Bai. Savitri Bai is a woman who decided to leave Brahman and to live with her Muslim husband and sing raga. So guys, Madhu has lost her son, and in order to distract herself from the memories, she travels to a town where she wants to meet Savitri Bai. Now Savitri Bai is another a strong character. She left her family, she was a Brahmin, she left to family and she started living with her Muslim husband, and there in that house she used to sing rag. Rag is the music pattern, guys. Now by writing about Savitri Bai and living in Bhavanipur, Madhu searches for the true meaning of her own life. So that is how Madhu understands her life in a better way and she feels herself boosted and confident. Finally, we come on to the last work of Shashi Deshpande, which is The Binding Wine. The Binding Wine was published in the year 2002. It is narrated by Urmila, who is grieving over the death of her baby daughter. Urmila finds the diaries of her dead mother-in-law whose name was Meera, and she finds that a mother-in-law was a budding poet, but due to the patriarchal society, she never showcased her talent. Now Meera's suffering in the diary helps Urmila to attain self-realization. And then there is another important character whose name is Kalpana, who is a Marathi young girl. She is a victim of horrific act of violence and rape. And Kalpana lies in the hospital where Urmila's friend Vanna works. So three parallel stories are going together. We have Urmila, who is trying to get over the death of a young baby daughter. Then we have Meera, Urmila's death mother-in-law. And when Urmila reads the diary of Meera, she realizes how she was never able to write poetry because of the patriarchal dominance. And on the other side, we have Kalpana, who is a Marathi girl, and she was raped and she was lying in the hospital where Urmila's friend Vanna works. So the three stories together showcases the brutality and mistreatment of women in Indian society. So guys, we have talked about 6 works of Shashi Deshpande, namely The Dark Holds No Terrors, published in 1980, Roots and Shadows, published in 1983, That Long Silence, published in 1989, A Matter of Time, published in 1996, Small Remedies, published in 2000, and The Binding Wine, published in 2002. So that's it for today's lecture. If you like my videos, kindly share with your friends, because if you share my videos with your friends, it motivates me. Thank you guys.